Hey everyone, welcome back to another spooktober video. We are reacting to 3 true Walmart horror stories with rain sounds. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I'm gonna try posting daily from now on. Subscribe, leave a like, and grab the popcorn, turn off your lights. Let's go!
This occurred several years ago. I used to shop at Walmart's quite frequently. They really sold everything I needed and were all over the place, so it was always my first store to go to.
The Ellen sees out. Yeah, they may serve you everything you want, but they cannot serve the L and that T.
At one point, I had to go out of town for a work conference.
Yikes.
It lasted about a week and it was
Yikes.
about a 10-hour drive away.
Yikes.
After it was over, I was driving back.
Yikes.
I was on the way home about halfway, and it got pretty late at night. I was prepared to drive through the night, but my car got low on gas, so I stopped at the next exit and filled it up. I was pretty hungry, but noticed that the convenience store of the gas station was closed. This town was really small and didn't seem to have much, but they did have a Walmart that was across the street.
Alright, I actually like this rain music because it feels like you're watching it on a spooky, rainy night. Alright, this is one of the better videos.
One of the strangest ones I'd ever seen. It just wasn't the typical kind of Walmart building that they usually are in. The building seemed smaller, and more as if it had taken over a building of a previous store that had been there. The parking lot was quiet, only a couple of cars, so I looked it up on Google Maps, and it said sure enough it was open. This seemed kind of surprising to me because it was around midnight, but I pulled my car into the parking lot and went inside. As I slowly walked in, I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I guess just some type of food. As I walked around inside, I didn't notice anybody else. The inside of the Walmart looked for the most part like a regular Walmart, but at the same time, a lot different. It was much smaller inside and arranged differently than most of the ones I had been in. Still, not a big deal though, and I tried to find something I could snack on. As I walked around, I didn't see anybody else in the store at all. It seemed a little bit odd to not even see a worker, but then again, it was midnight in a small town that I had never been in before. I had made it to the back aisle and was looking around when I heard the noise of someone walking.
Do you really need food at that point? I would just go home. Like, hey man, I'm not trying to go grocery shopping. I'm just gonna go home. Go to my Walmart, not this sketchy Walmarts with unbeatable prices. Yeah, I'm gonna be beaten by one of these demons in that store.
They entered the aisle from the far side from where I was in, and I noticed it was someone wearing one of those horse face masks that covers a person's whole head. I looked and it startled me at first, but then I chuckled. I guess it was some guy pranking people late at night. He stood there looking at me.
No.
Then he walked away. I told him it was very funny. I finally found a couple of things and picked them up. Then I headed to the front of the store. As I did, I noticed another person walking by, also wearing a horse mask. I thought maybe it had to be the guy's friend and they were both in on the joke. I once again smiled and kept walking. I used the self-checkout and paid for my things, all while not seeing a single employee. As I was almost done, I saw another 2 people emerge from behind one of the check lanes. They were both wearing horse masks as well. By that time, I got a rush of fear run through my body. I didn't know what was going on, but it didn't really seem like a joke to me anymore. I looked back and saw the other 2 people in horse masks staring at me from the back near the aisles. I tried to not let them see the fear that I had. I calmly got my receipt and walked away and out the doors. I walked all the way back to my car, hoping that I wouldn't hear the footsteps of anyone leaving behind me, and to my surprise, I didn't. But when I got to my car, I realized there was a new car that was parked next to mine. I tried to ignore it as best as I could, and got to my car, unlocked it, and quickly got inside. As I did, I glanced over to the car parked next to mine. At first, it looked like it was empty, But then I saw a horse mask pop up in the driver's seat. I just about had a heart attack in that moment. I slammed my foot on the gas and left that city back to the freeway and on my way home. I got home the next day and still wonder what was going on there.
Wow, okay, let's rate that story. I rate that story 9 out of 10. Comment what you think was happening in that Walmart in the comment section down below. Here's story numero 2. Troy. I don't know what 2 means in Spanish, but let's go. Number 2. Story number 2. Yeah.
Last summer, I worked at a Walmart.
Same T's out. Move.
Mostly stocking shelves late at night.
Oh, that sucks.
It was pretty easy and was really the first real job that I had. One night, I happened to be working at around 11 o'clock p.m. We were still open at that time, but we would rarely get many customers then because we closed at midnight. I was in an aisle where we sold pet supplies at the very back end of the store, just stocking a shelf. I heard somebody walking close by and then saw a man enter the aisle and start to approach me. I really didn't like when customers would ask me questions, but I would always do my best to answer them. He came closer to me, and when he did, I noticed that some of his clothes were ripped, and he seemed a little bit off. He said to me that he had a question for me. Then he began to ask something, but never really got to the question. He stopped himself and slowly said to me that he didn't like me. His face changed to an angry look. I had no idea what to do, but I figured this man had to be on some sort of drugs. He slowly walked behind the aisle we were in. I just shook my head and went back to work, but I could tell that the man was just standing there, barely around the corner. As I took products out of boxes and placed them on the shelves, I noticed out of the corner of my eye the man stick his head around the corner for a second and then go back. He still had a very angry look on his face. I did my best to ignore him and figured that he would walk away soon enough. About 5 minutes passed by, and as far as I knew, he was still there. Then out of nowhere, several items came flying off the shelf near me as if they had been pushed from the other side. Now this annoyed me. I said in a firm voice to the man that he should just get whatever he came here to get and leave. What he said in response was that he was going to get me, and then he called for me to come around the corner to the other side. I ignored it and started to pick up the items that fell. He called out a couple of more times for me to come out, but I just ignored him once again. About a minute later, I heard the sound of more people in the aisle next to mine. It sounded like 4 or 5 men were suddenly in the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
I decided to walk over and look, and saw several police officers start to take the man away. One of the officers walked over to me, and I asked him what happened. He told me that that man had assaulted somebody in a nearby restaurant a few blocks away in a seemingly random attack and then fled. He was found at the Walmart. It seemed like he was going for me next.
Wow, well, comment your rate for story number 2. I'm gonna rate that story number about 6 out of 10. Interesting story. Interesting. Imagine what would have happened if the cops didn't come. How did they know the guy was in there? It's interesting. But story number 3. Let's go. Story number 3. Let's go.
I had a job a few years ago that was pretty tough.
Walmart.
I worked some insanely long days and got home very late at night sometimes. One night, I was working late, and I left work so sleepy that I could barely stay awake. I began driving home, and after about 10 minutes, I knew I wouldn't make it all the way back before falling asleep. I pulled into the next exit where there was a 24-hour Walmart that I knew of. It was sometime after 2 in the morning when I got there.
Hey! Guys! The T and the L are working. You see that, guys? See that? Amazing.
My goal was to just walk around a little bit to wake up, and maybe buy an energy drink or something with caffeine in it. I got inside the store and began to walk around. I only saw a few customers at the front end of the store with some employees, but other than that, it seemed almost completely empty. I was walking around the back end of the store for a little bit, slowly starting to feel more awake, when I noticed someone walking behind me. They were walking behind me at an extremely close distance that was very uncomfortable. I stopped and looked behind me. There was a man that was no more than 5 feet away. He stopped as well and stared at me with a blank look on his face for a second. He was about 6 feet tall, wearing a brown suit jacket with a brown turtleneck. He then turned and walked away into a nearby aisle. I continued to walk around the store, but it wasn't long until the man was back again. This time, as soon as he got close, I turned to him and said, "Can I help you?" He once again just changed directions and walked away. I decided it would be best for me to just leave at that point. I went and got an energy drink and checked out. I was feeling more awake now, though, and also a little bit creeped out by the man. I left the store and walked back to my car. Something about the way the man was staring at me just kind of gave me the creeps. Luckily for me, I was way more awake now, and I was able to drive home without any problems. If that were the full story, it would be bad enough, but sadly it's not. I drove home, and of course when I got there, I fell asleep immediately. But I woke up about an hour or two later to the sound of a truck engine running very loudly. I looked out of my bedroom window to the street. I saw a truck sitting on the street in front of my window. In the front seat was the same man staring at me. He still had that blank look on his face.
Oh no.
Almost right away after I looked at him, he screeched his tires and sped away. I've never been able to figure out who this man was or what he wanted from me, but I never did see him again.
Well, I guess that was it for this reaction. I rate that one a 4 or a 5. Because that one wasn't really scary. That was just like, I guess you could say, weird. But, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope everyone was spooked out. Comment your ratings in the comment section. Y'all are commenting your ratings. I want to see your ratings. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!